Good morning, you little fuckers. Welcome to the Four Seasons podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
What?
What are you doing in my seat?
I'm filling in.
What?
You weren't here.
Ah, you gotta go. This is for the bros. Get out.
No. This is good. Just go ahead and just let her stay and let her stay in the room.
Oh, okay.
We need her for this one.
They
Yeah,
voted.
She can stay.
They voted.
She can stay.
Majority
She can
votes?
stay.
Majority votes, I guess.
Majority votes.
All in favor, say oi, oi.
Alright.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Feeling
Doing really
fresh. Feeling fresh.
Eating fresh. I'm blessed
Be good.
to be another day.
Drinking a Coke.
Cafecito?
Yeah, already had that.
Guess it's better to drink Coke than sniff Coke, right?
No, I'd pick the other one, but this is the only one I got in.
All right. Welcome in. We have a special guest today. Annie, welcome to Four Seasons podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Feeling really good. Really focused. Ready to share.
Welcome.
You know, you're making history here, right? You're like when women were first able to vote. That's like you right now. You're like in a bros podcast.
You know, the history that women have brought in and the perspectives that we've changed has made a lot of drastic changes in history.
Yeah.
Really.
Hell, no, you are making history.
A lot of
So-
war for the women.
So that's pretty much basically saying then happy wife, happy life, happy house, happy spouse. Is that what that is? Is that what that is right there?
Not necessarily happy wife, happy life. We dumped that a long time ago because it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
I agree with you. I hate that fucking term. Any term you want to say on that, but we're gonna dive into that, and I'll be quiet now.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life is one-sided, and you're not attaining the perspective of your partner, and you're shuttering that person out. And if you really want union and unity and the collision of both partners together to really drive force for what you're working on, you've got to pay attention to a masculine's needs. Absolutely needed. I mean, I know that I might, get bit by my own friends, my own family. Well, they're like, well, it's not, it should be happy wife, happy life. How? Like, what positive things come out of it? For one, you're limiting the perspective because they're going to go towards fulfilling your happiness versus the best option. Two, you're kind of burning your friendship with your partner because you're always thinking about yourself. You're not opening the door. Communication is a two-way street. You can't go down one highway on one side only and expect to have fantastic results. It doesn't work like that.
I do not disagree with anything that you've said thus far. I don't know how much I'm going to be speaking in this episode, but I'll listen.
This podcast is done already. She covered everything already. I was
On that note, have a good day. This was the shortest.
Oh, damn, this is great. I can go.
So, there's something since we're talking about this, because we don't live by that philosophy anymore. But were you raised hearing that? Were you raised seeing that? How, like?
Okay, we're gonna dig into my background. Okay, so my father is hearing impaired, so communication with him has always been tight, and communication has always been a struggle with my mom, just because I love her to death, but she's very one-sided on how things work, and I'm always looked at as the odd one out because I think and I sense things differently, and I go in deeper because I want to be able to fixed relationships and mend relationships when the other party is open for it. So, I mean, back to what Miguel's or Vato here is asking is, I never really knew which way my mom and my dad had their idea. It was just always whatever the kids needed. But even then, it was very limited. So the fact that I wasn't too sure on what stance she had in regards to the relationships, it's just communication was never a thing.
Now, how did that concept of happy house, happy spouse was built?
Well, believe it or not, I was very selfish when we first got together, when we first got married. I was super selfish. I hated anything that wasn't me taking his attention for me. So my mindset when we first got together was, well, we're going to fulfill my needs. We're going to fulfill what I want. We're going to do everything that I want, when I want, how I want. And reality shook his health, which changed my perspective drastically. We both dove into personal development, and it changed from there, because it changes your perspective. You have to be open to trying and hearing new things in order for you to start to develop a different perspective for yourself. You start shedding, the way I see it is I started shedding that old selfish person that I was into somebody that was more open. So I mean, it's not something that I was immediately pulled into after so many years. I mean, it took a while for me to be okay with, like, okay, because we would butt heads all the time because it was always what I wanted and only what I wanted. And it finally got to the point where, reality check, his health came into a drastic, dire situation, and I had to start seeing things differently, doing things differently, and just going against what everybody is always doing.
So it basically went from happy wife, happy life to happy house.
Yeah.
In layman's terms, that's exactly what happened. Because she said it was all about her in the beginning. Happy wife, happy life. You weren't involved. Then something drastically happened. That's when she said, what, we're a team on this. That's when she turned around and happy spouse, happy house.
I don't think we had ever heard that concept though. Like it was just like an automatic, right? Like every man wants to make their wife happy.
Right. But
right? It's like instilled in us that that's what we need to be.
If we're putting a name to it, that's basically what happened. When you think about it. She said it. It was all about her. Happy wife, happy life. He was happy. All about her.
Yeah.
But even then, like, happy wife, happy life, like, the wife isn't really happy, because I mean, you guys are, if that's a thing in a relationship and you're constantly butting heads, that means that there's things not being shared and not being expressed. So it's not really happy. Like, not even the wife, not even that, feminine partner is happy, because you guys are always butting heads, and that's what we were always butting heads.
Right. But I mean, at least, when something happened, you recognized that and thought to yourself, you know what I mean? Like, shit, this isn't the correct way to be going about things. And you switched it up, and I mean, clearly it works.
Yeah.
When things aren't working, yeah, you have to. You've got to figure it out. You've got to try different things. I mean, you can't always constantly do the same thing, have the one result, get frustrated at the result when you haven't changed what you're doing.
Do you feel like a lot of marriages would have strengthened? And because a lot of people will be like, oh, that it's over, and they'll just end it. But do you feel that if people switch that and just kind of got out of that paradigm and restructured, do you feel that even a marriage that has been hurt in different ways, do you feel that they can rebuild if they had that different philosophy of happy spouse, happy house?
If you're open to changing, if you're open to hearing out what's actually bothering the other person. Because like it's one thing to say, so it's one thing for me to say like I care about what he has to think, but then if my actions prove otherwise, or if I'm showing an attitude after he's shared with me things that he wants changes in, there's, you know, it goes to show, no, you have to be open. You have to actually have the perception of like, okay, what is it that's really bothering you? What is it that is really like bugging your heart or your mind that's affecting you? Because you can, like I said, you can say it all day, every day that, yeah, I care. But if your actions prove otherwise, you really don't. You're just saying it to make yourself seem like you care, but you really don't, because you're not actually open to what's going on, what's bothering that person. You can't fix and mend a relationship, even if it's not like to the extent of refixing a marriage, refixing a relationship, but at least you're able to get that closure to say, okay, this is what would really bother me, and you at least get to close that chapter of your life in order to move on, or move on to whatever it is that you need to do in order to get yourself back to being okay. Because a tormenting relationship really instills a lot of trauma, and it instills a lot of frustration, where it plays with your own self-confidence. It plays with the way that you feel, or like you question, like, well, was I the messed up one? Did I really fuck up that bad that I, dropped the ball and I ruined it with this person? Like, it changes your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be open.
You have anything to say?
Man, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I already hate this topic. I hate this topic because I'm a little jealous of Bob to find a woman like her with her mindset. I have a woman like that now, where she listens. If I find, like, I'm not saying listen like being submissive. I'm saying like I want to communicate with her. If something bothers me, she sits there and listens without saying. And I've dealt with this so many fucking times in past relationships where something bothered me. I heard this exact phrase: "That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem." Especially if it dealt with the relationship, because naturally, men and women, we have my mindset. We conduct ourselves in such a way where we look 3-4 steps ahead. It's like playing chess in a relationship. Like, you always want to be 3-4 steps ahead, making sure that this relationship is going to last. So people like me, and it sounds like you guys are the same way. You're always going to look and make decisions that are going to make your relationship thrive in the long run. And so my exes, they weren't like that. They were like, well, I'm happy. I don't know what your problem is. And I'm sitting there like, no. Yeah, you're right. You're happy, but I'm not. And those relationships rarely fucking work. They rarely work. I can't tell you, I was jumping through hoops to make my ex-wife happy. I was going to church, I was going to therapy, I was doing everything I needed to do to be the husband and the father I needed to be, just to find out she did some crazy shit, like through a good portion of our marriage, of our fucking time and after marriage. So when I got out of that marriage, I told myself, I'm like, I'm not going to freaking sacrifice myself and be the only one that's watering the grass, while the other person fucking tap dance and fucking, it doesn't provide, or it doesn't help, or it doesn't contribute. It sounds like you guys got a good system because you guys contribute each other equally, which you're thriving. And it sucks for me because I had to go through certain things, and I had to date certain people where I felt like I was drowning. And I felt like I was unappreciated. I felt like I wasn't being heard. And every time I brought something up, it was I was insecure, or I shouldn't worry about things, and I should focus on the present and I shouldn't think about the future, or it was a laundry list of things that I've dealt with. I'm for sure other men and other women dealt with as well. So, but my current relationship is a fucking night and day. It's a night and day. And I wish I would have found her years ago. My mental health, the added stress, all that stuff probably been non-existent. I had a person like her. And that's why I'm jealous of you guys. You guys found each other. Yes, you guys had your roller coaster. You guys had your ups and downs. You guys had your trials. But eventually, you guys worked through it. Having that proper communication. You, being a wife, sit back and put yourself in his shoes. And you, being a husband, sit back and put yourself in her shoes with certain aspects, certain problems, certain issues. You guys worked through it. Was it always perfect? Probably not. But you guys are sitting here. You're a testament to the time. So,
what were you gonna?
To what you were saying about, you wish you would have found your partner beforehand, and it would have, avoided. But every single person that you encounter and you have to deal with is either a lesson, a blessing, or is there for a lifetime and is there to teach you many things. So everybody that you come in contact with that is going to, even if it's for a short period of time, they're going to serve a purpose in your life in helping you realize that people can be that tormentive, or they can be that amazing and let people just walk all over them. And it puts you into perspective of like, I don't want to be like that, or, oh my God, I need to be more like that. Everybody serves a purpose. So had you found your current partner years ago, it could have altered the way that you are presently right now as a partner to her.
No, I agree with you. I just didn't like going through it.
I mean, yeah, but I mean,
I 100% agree with you. I agree that anybody in these boxes, anybody that's listening to the podcast, you have to go through certain to make you who you are today. Based off experience, you learn from your past relationships, whether it's something that you're doing wrong or something that you just don't want to deal with in a future relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, trends, don't want to deal with it, or damn, I should have done better with communication. Maybe she wouldn't have done this. I should have done better at handling this type of argument or this situation. Maybe it wouldn't have got sour. Who knows? Yes, I completely agree with you. Mm-hmm. I believe, I believe God puts certain people in your life to test you. Lessons learned, like you said. I also believe that He removes people out of your life to make room for other individuals. Either they're testing you further, or make a room, or He puts you in certain situations to prepare you to be in the relationship He has set. That's on the religion aspect. But no, I do agree with you. I just didn't like the journey. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like the journey at all. 2 divorces, failed relationship after failed relationship, dealing with certain things, and it's just one of those things where, like, damn, I had to go through all that stuff. But you know what? You're right. It made me the person I am today. It made me the man that I needed to be today. So when I get into a relationship, I'm straightforward about what I want and what I need from a woman. And I set my boundaries in the beginning, like, I'm not going to deal with this shit anymore. I know exactly what I want in a relationship. I know exactly what I want out of a woman. I know what I provide. This is my expectation of what you should provide. And I set a certain standard. Some people might call that controlling. Some women, majority of women might call that controlling. But others are like, you know what? I like a man who has structure, who knows what he wants, what he can provide. Sometimes it has to be like that.
Well, I kind of agree. I agree with what you're saying. And I mean, I'm going to explain why. So before, I would have been like, no, that's not the shit. That's toxic. That's, you trying to be the man and trying to, like, take over masculinity and, like, make sure that you're asserting yourself. Like, hold on. Like, no, because if you have somebody that can show you that they're willing to support A and B, and all you need to do is bring in C and D, then you're able to drop yourself and pull, like a woman is able to pull themselves out of that masculine stage. Like, you have to learn to balance that for yourself. And then that's when you can actually cater and take care of the things that need to be taken care of in a relationship, and being open to supporting a partner. Like if you think of, really successful individuals, particularly men, like a lot of the times, if they have a partner, that partner has had to be in a submissive state of understanding, like, okay, this is what they want long term. This is what they're working on. How can I be there to support that, to make sure that that long term dream happens with not little to no, but minimum damage incurred along the way. Because if it's a wild dream where you have this crazy dream that's, years and years down the road, like, you've got to be open to accepting, like, am I willing to stick with this person this long to get them, to watch them get to that point, or not? And you have to decide that pretty much from the beginning, because there's a lot of sacrifices that you as a partner, you're going to have to make in order to give that, to the support and the openness to your partner. It starts with being open, and bringing up that openness allows you to drop down, like, the tension that you might build yourself up as a female. This is speaking from my perspective, is dropping my masculinity and saying, okay, I don't need to be this tense. I don't need to be this angry, because I'm a different person if I have to tone up my masculinity. I'm probably not very easy to deal with. I'm probably like a raging bitch, because that's really what it comes down to. This is going to be a fucking sensitive subject for me to bring up, but if you're being a raging bitch, like, okay, what is really going on up here that's causing you to be so tense and so angry and so frustrated? Like, who messed you up so much that you're, like, absolutely mad at the whole entire world?
Hey, Annie, can you say that one more time, a little bit louder?
I've been there plenty of times. I was there a couple years ago, and I don't know how this guy dealt with it. It sucked. It sucked. Like, my kids, I saw, like, looking back at pictures and memories of my kids, when we were going through it, I'm like, I can see the tension in my own kids' faces, their demeanor, their voices, and it took a lot of reparation. Like, it's when you recognize that you have to balance out your own energies. You have to balance that out. And when you balance it out, things finally come in for you. Things start to pour in because you're finally balanced. You find the person, you find the job, you find the house, you find the thing that you're looking for, you find the person. Because things balance themselves out. So the universe has to give it to you because you're working on yourself. And things are working. Things are working in your favor.
Going back to what you said about, some, women, if they're fucked up in the head or something like that, and a lot of it goes back to there's a lot of men. I won't even say men, but there's a lot of boys out there that really like to fuck with the women's heads. They mess with women. Hear about it all the time. I see it.
You need to give other lighter some space.
Yeah.
Not saying that they might not have some crazy tendencies as well, but you see it and you hear about it, and it's a fucked up ordeal. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of the men aren't completely, what do you want to call it, innocent in that, and a lot of that too, because I think they still, a lot of them still, well, they should know what they want by this time, but a lot of them still don't know what they want, and they still just want to play games.
Yeah.
And that does lead to, whatever you bring into your household too. Like, if you're out there being an idiot, you're going to bring it to your house, and then obviously your house isn't going to be a home. And obviously it's going to be one-sided.
Annie, from a woman looking at this, do you feel like the term happy wife, happy life is either manipulative Do you think women can use that as a manipulation tool?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you give a woman something that they really, oh man. There's so much that I can say to this, but yes, a woman can use it as a manipulative tactic and power over and use it as a power tool and drill a man into being depressed, being suicidal, like being questioning of like shit, like is this fucking relationship worth it if I'm having to take the fucking punches straight to the face for her? Like it really makes you question it, and then you start pulling yourself out and you start withdrawing yourself. And then eventually it's just not even a relationship.
What happened, Mike?
Just listening.
I think it, go ahead.
Let me interrupt you.
No, you're good. But it goes both ways. Like if I'm gonna ask this. Try to find a way to ask this question. But it's like, okay, let's say a man really wants to have a woman to be fully submissive, and their idea is, okay, well, if I want them to be submissive, then I'm gonna give them everything that they want. Like, do you think that's a thing that some guys have as an idea instilled in their mind? Like I've got to keep her happy. I've got to make sure she's good because she'll stay. She'll be loyal. She'll stick through it.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of men out there that have that mindset that they have to try to do everything in their power to keep their woman happy. Whether it's, a lot of men do it with like a financial standpoint or like materialistic shit. You know, buy them this, buy them that. You know what? And like for a long time in my like oh, you know what? Like the nails and the get your feet done, like that shit, like that is like that's whatever. You know what I mean? Like if it's something that, I don't feel like that right there is something that's really an issue. If it's something that your partner likes, like sure, and you want them to go get their fucking nails done or whatever. But like, I mean, as far as like, oh well, I need this or this and this and this, otherwise I'm not gonna be happy. For a long time in previous relationships, like I used to do that. Like I would, like, they wanted this, I would go buy it, or I would get it, I would do whatever. But as I got older, fucking realized that's kind of like a lot of them use it as a crutch to get what they want out of you. Like, and I've said it before in previous podcasts, like, you know, people will use you or for a purpose, right? People come into your life for a purpose. Some people come into your life and don't want anything from you. But other people come into your life and you see what they can get from you and then move on. And for a long time I did that. Like I don't like those terms because I've lived it, and I thought that, okay, well, maybe this is the right way to do it, you know what I mean? Not knowing that I was just dealing with selfish people. And then one day, my ass woke up and I said, you know what? No, that's not the way. And it goes back to what we said in another episode about like routine shit, and it messes with your mental. So now, seeing as I'm where I'm at now, I will never accept that again into my life or into my home. You know, it's got to be, you just have to have a happy house in general, not any other way will ever work for me. and I don't need to settle. I'm past that point where I feel like I need to settle. My ass will grow old as fuck by myself if I need to. I really don't even care.
I got a question for you, Annie. Do you feel that you being submissive to me, do you feel like that holds you back from your goals and your happiness? Like personal goals, financial goals, all of that.
I want to say no, because you're giving me the space to find what I want to do, what really motivates me and inspires me. And I'm also offering you the same balance. Like if you need 2-3 hours to get XYZ done, I know that you're going to mutually give that to me, so why wouldn't I be like, okay, it's balanced? Because if I, God forbid, if I go back to my stupid selfish ways, maybe, karma will come right back and bite me in the ass, like it always has when I try to go back to my old ways. But no, I don't think it does. I'm able to find what I want to do and how I want to do it, and find what makes me truly happy. Because it's all about what you want to do internally, like what you want to fix internally. Like even if you want to, that's one thing. Like if you want to, because I mean, you could say that you want to. Like I'll be like, yeah, I got it, I heard you. But realistically, like, do you really want to? Like if the answer is no internally, if the answer is no, then I mean you're not going to. You're not going to submit to your partner. And it's not being submissive in a sense of like, I'm going to follow everything that you say and everything that you do and everything that you tell me to do. It's like you have to find a happy medium. There's got to be that fine-tuned balance between the both of you in order to say, okay, I'm going to do this because this is something I want. He respects it. He understands it, or they understand it. And I'm going to do the same thing for them. Because I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, like both of us are raising our kids, and I come from a lot of trauma from my childhood. Like I don't want to instill any additional things onto my kids under my own household, knowing and understanding that life is already going to give you traumas. You're going to have to go through things. You're going to have to go through lessons. Like, why do I want to further create this idea in my daughter's head about a way a relationship is supposed to be? Like, no.
Yeah, and I don't want my son to grow up with this happy wife, happy life philosophy, because I want him to be happy when it's his turn to do what life puts us to do.
I think there's a lot of relationships out there that stick to the happy wife, happy life aspect of things, and that could be vice versa. That could be a woman trying to do everything that man wants from her, or it could be a man trying to do everything his woman wants. You know what I mean? But I think that should only last for so long. It's either the person that's giving everything will only hold on for a while, and I think that's a lot, because divorce rate is high. It's really high, and I think people don't put in the hard work. Such as you did. You recognized something, and you're like, "Fuck, let me take a step back and look at things differently." And you made it work. But a lot of people won't make it work. A lot of people will be like, "You know what? You're not doing this for me anymore. Let me go find somebody else who will." Because there is a sucker somewhere who will keep doing it for that person. And they'll never change. You have to change as a person and realize, fuck, you know what? why don't we just change the way the house is ran? Let's just be happy at home, have a happy house, or just care for each other, raise our family, and not be one-sided. But most people, they won't do it. They'll just be like, you know what? Nope, I'm stuck in my ways. If you don't like it here, go somewhere else. And ultimately they will. That person will, because you will find somebody out there. Case in point, Mike. He found himself somebody now who is everything that he was looking for. He didn't find her back then because, you know, it would have been great, like he said, so he didn't have to go through any of that bullshit. But she's here now. And that's all that matters. You know, you learn some experiences. Obviously you found out what you didn't like. And now you have what you do.
Great with you.
You were gonna say something?
I forgot at this point. Sorry, I'm just being honest. I forget. Really.
It happens. Trust me, because
exactly.
I'll start talking, and then because somebody will be talking, and then I'll have something I want to say, and then I'll start to talk, and then I'll be like, long pause, and I forget.
We tend to have brain farts here and there.
I told her to write it down next time.
Annie will still forget it.
Yeah, I would.
She'll forget where to put the note.
Where'd I put that
Yeah,
note
exactly.
I would. I am quite the blonde. I'm a natural brunette, but internally, in here somewhere, like it's blonde. Like I forget. I think it's undiagnosed. I think it's honestly undiagnosed ADHD. Anyways, but no, what I was gonna say now that I remember is, I mean, it's not that it clicked immediately for me, because I mean, when he was going through all his health challenges, we were going through a lot as a relationship. Like I started to question, like I had my own family, you know, talking down about like, well, I mean, he's going through all this, like what is he really going to be able to support for her? What is he really going to be able to do? Like I had all the negative talk in my ear about, you really need to reconsider, you really need to think things through. And I'm just like, the way that he has helped me heal a lot of the things that you guys have had me shove under the rug, like, no, like I've got to figure it out. And a lot of it was also karma, like coming, the universe, like warning me, like telling me, like, you've got to change your ways. Because I would get hit in the face with like stupid things that shouldn't have been happening, and it was ultimately just affecting me. I mean, it was a major wake-up call, but it sucked. The process sucked to get to where we're at right now. The process sucked. It really did. It took a lot of years to get where we are right now. And if you're evolving, if you're growing, and your partner is doing the same thing, then each time you guys are gonna, you guys are gonna be amazed and astonished with each other in the different levels that you're gonna be able to. You guys can raise hands in here. That's cool. Okay.
Nobody can see it except for us. So finish what you're gonna say, so Callie can say what he needs to say.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
The blonde came out again.
It'll come back. Go ahead, Callie.
Go, Mike.
So I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
It's a personal question. I just want to get your insight or the things that you did in order to get through it. What was the hardest thing that you guys had? What was the hardest hill that you guys had to climb together, and how did you guys get through it? If it's personal, I understand, but if you're willing to share, I think it will give more of an insight.
I would say for me, it was the ego. I had a lot of ego.
How so?
I was raised by a man who only knew what he knew as a man, right? He had no father to raise him, so he thought that just being here was the best thing for the kids. But I saw how he treated my mom, and I'm not going to say that it was all bad, but there was a lot of bad tendencies, and some of those tendencies came into me and went into her when we first started to get together. But I had an ego, man, because I was a complete different man back in the day, and I was very egotistic. Like my enemies, I'd mock them in their face, like, what the fuck are you? You can't touch me. You know who my family is. You can't touch me. We'll come at you guys. I had this ego, like I didn't care, and I think for me the biggest thing was lowering the ego, because a lot of men, we're not, when we're very egotistic, we're not coachable. We don't want to learn. And with me, at first I feel like I was getting advice from the wrong people on how to make the marriage work. And when somebody would tell me otherwise, I didn't want to hear them, because that person told me that this is how it should be. So for me, it was unlearning, unprogramming a lot of things that built an ego, and finally letting a lot of things go that were not going to make the marriage work. And be more understanding. My ego would not let me be more understanding to her needs, her wants, her desires.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like I have a similar father. I'm sure we'll get into that in another episode, but I know exactly what you mean by that, because there was a lot of things that I've seen. Crazy, real quick, my parents, they got divorced when I was 7 years old. I think my little sister was only like 3 months old at the time. And then they got back together when my little sister was 15. So figure that. But in that time of their separation, I've seen a lot of shit that you shouldn't do. And that shit, I still see that. And like maybe early on in my life, I did a lot of what I've seen, because I thought, that's what you're, you know what I mean? You see what others do, and you're like, oh fuck, maybe that's the kind of man that that's how you're supposed to be. Because people don't, clearly you didn't tell me, like, oh no, you're not supposed to be like this, or you're not supposed to do this. So naturally, you see what you see, you do what you see. And I realized that early on, like really early on in my adulthood, and I said, fuck, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that guy. And I had to change, and I had to change for myself. And maybe had I stayed that way, I wouldn't have had some of the fucking bullshit that I've had to deal with, you know what I mean? Because it probably wouldn't have made it that far. But at the same time, I had children, and I had daughters. I didn't want them to see that, and then them be like, oh fuck, well that's how a man's supposed to treat me, because your daughter is your first person that's going to see how a woman is supposed to be treated. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, okay, but I get you, but I understand wholeheartedly.
What about you?
That's not where my head went.
Where's your head then?
I don't know what we're talking about. I mean, that year sucked.
Oh, just give a small debrief. I mean, it took us a long time to be able to find our method of communication as a partnership. A very long time.
But the whole process, you guys didn't stop trying, though. You didn't stop trying to find the method of communication that works best for you. And that's what matters, is because you both recognized it, and you're like, fuck, okay, well, how can I do this to where she's going to understand, and how can I do this to where he's going to understand how I feel? And that's what makes everything come full circle and work for you. However long it takes, it's just, it doesn't matter. There's no time limit on how long it takes you to figure out your communication. It's just the fact that you kept trying and you figured it out. And you'll never have it completely figured out. You'll always be, trying to figure out how you can be the best version of yourself.
We're always evolving
for your partner. Absolutely.
So with that evolving comes new. I mean, I think Annie and I can agree that every new level that we hit in our marriage or business or anything like that, it's going to bring a new devil. It's going to bring a new challenge. Right now we are in a very good place, but eventually something else, another devil will try to come into this new level of our marriage. I think for a lot of these people, these married couples or people that are in a relationship, what I would say is be very careful with the people that you keep around. Be very careful with who you bring into your relationship. And by that I mean friends. Because not everybody comes with a standpoint of love. A lot of people do have ulterior motives. A lot of people will say that they want what you have and literally will try to take that from you one way or another. Not that they don't want you to have it. Not that they want it. They just don't want to see other people have it.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I'm gonna direct this towards Annie because I want her perspective. And you really didn't answer my question earlier. He answered the question. He spoke about it, but you really didn't say anything about it. What was the defining situation in your relationship where you figured that your routine, what you brought to the relationship, wasn't working, where you had to adjust? What was the defining moment?
I'm thinking way back. I think finally when I personally got tired of always arguing, like we weren't talking, we were just talking at each other. And when you have the habit of talking at somebody, you're not really listening, you're just talking over what they're saying. And I finally got tired of it, and I was like, this isn't working. Like, we're not even listening to each other, we're not even able to hear ourselves because we're just going above and above and above. And then it finally just turned into yelling, and I'm like, there's no growth here. Like, this isn't, like, we've got to figure it out. And like, I mean, I've learned, I had to learn the hard way, because I mean, like, when things wind down, for majority of people, when things wind down, like at nighttime, is when your mind is quiet finally, and you're able to think things through about what's happened through the day. And that's when I would bring it up. And he's always struggled with sleep, and that was like my one thing. Like, I wanted to talk about it before I went to bed, because I needed to in order for me to go to bed, because I'm a heavy sleeper.
Fucking hell.
I had to learn, okay, if it's something really big, then I need to find the time, and I need to find when it's going to work for me to be able to say, hey, this is bugging me, this is something you did, this is something you said that upset me, and find a good time to bring it up. Because if I would bring it up, like years ago, when I would bring it up really late at night, it would just run his mind like crazy, and he was just awake until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, to have to wake up at 7, so he wasn't sleeping. And then the next day he would just be kind of a raging asshole, and then I would have to deal with that shit, and it would send me into a spiral, because then I was a raging bitch.
Like a never-ending cycle.
And it was never ending, and I'm like, okay, this isn't working. And we finally found, what works for us. And depending on how big the issue was, or how frustrating it was, or whatever it is, just finding not the right time, but a better time to talk about it, to make sure that I'm not disrupting his sleep, so that it doesn't disrupt my entire day, because then it's just a never ending.
You gotta be able to be okay with not talking about a situation right away. And you shouldn't go to bed mad at each other because of the situation. You guys have a long time ahead of you to talk about it.
I agree with that. You should definitely not go to sleep. Don't take it to another day. Obviously some things can't be settled over a conversation before bed. But obviously if it's something that serious, then it still needs to be addressed.
Well, guys, is there anything you want to ask or say before we come towards the end of everything?
Nope.
Is there a question that you want to ask our audience?
Yeah, I want to see in the reviews and the comments. I know that you guys do recaps, but I want to hear back, like, from people in writing, like, what's something that, has worked, hasn't worked, what was the aha moment in your head where you're like, okay, I can't keep going down the same road. Like, I've gotten myself this far. Like, what moments have happened in your relationships with your experience that has brought yourself to being like, oh my God, like, this is something I was doing that I could have avoided?
That's a great question.
Good question. I'm about to say my final thought. My final thought is a lot of people deal with a lot of BS in life. Whether it deals with their jobs, their professions, outside the house. No one wants to come home to more chaos. Your home is supposed to be your peace. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary from all the BS you deal with walking out that damn door. So, women, men, provide that peace for each other. Like Annie said, communicate. Listen. Not just communicate, but listen. And provide that peace for your spouse or your partner. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to go home to a house that's not happy and intrusive to the relationship. So that's my final statement.
Respect each other. Show each other the utmost respect. Like Mike said too, listen. You can't hear shit if you're not listening. And you can't speak without listening, because otherwise you're just running your mouth, creating more problems. And I think that's super important, whether your relationship is whether you just started speaking to someone or you're years down the road. You always got to listen. You got to listen before you respond. Just respect each other. That's it for me.
Before we throw in the bottle, Annie?
Thank you guys for having me here.
Pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Yo te lo di.
I was gonna spit in her ear. Yeah, just you'll figure it out. If people really want to be with each other, they'll figure it out. Don't be reactive over everything. Learn to respond, and just work through it. Give each other space if you need to. Let each other know, though. That's the most important part. Don't just walk away from each other all pissed off. Say like, hey, we're being a little chaotic with our words and our actions. I think we need to just take a breath. Let's come back and talk about this when we're both settled and calm.
Absolutely.
Hey, once again, Annie, thank you for being our first guest. Thank you for breaking that ice.
Thank you for being the first woman on here.
I'm sorry I brought my ADHD in here.
It's okay, we love it. We enjoyed it. Don't lose your sticky notes.
we're almost done. We're almost done filming. You could pull off the brunette wig now.
Put a sticky note saying where your sticky notes are at, and don't lose that one, please.
Yeah.
And on that note, we're out. We'll see you guys again pretty soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.